Hello everyone. Today we are going to pick up a beautiful poem called Daffodils. Daffodils is a poem which has been written by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was a British poet who spent his life in the Lake District of northern England. The glorious landscape deeply affected William Wordsworth's imagination and gave him a deep love for nature. As a poet, he used ordinary words to express his personal feelings. William Wordsworth was a poet who was very connected with nature, a very nature loving person. Most of his poems are related to nature and very simple words written, beautifully portrayed his feelings in very simple words so that it's very easily understood by all of them. Today we are going to pick up the poem Daffodils. Daffodils are actually flowers, beautiful yellow flowers. Let's see what William Wordsworth has to talk about his feelings. Just one fine day he was wandering around in the hills and the valleys and he came across this huge garden of daffodils. Plenty of daffodils everywhere and he enjoyed that scene. The way he enjoyed the things that he felt, he's come out beautifully. He's portrayed it very nicely in this poem known as Daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Wow, beautiful. Beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprinkly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be gay in such jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For often when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Beautifully explained what he saw, what he remembered for his lifelong. Let's take up the explanation line by line. I wandered lonely as a cloud. Now here the poet is comparing himself with the cloud. So we have a direct poetic device of simile here, which is the word as is connection is given with himself and the cloud. So it's a simile, it's a comparison of himself, just like the clouds keep floating aimlessly without any aim, without any direction to go. Similarly, the poet was wandering around. And where was he wandering? That floats on high over vales and hills and valleys. It's just like when the clouds, they move across the hills and valleys. Similarly, he was also wandering, just roaming around in the valleys there, in the mountains, somewhere over the hills there. When all at once I saw a crowd. Now, did he actually see people there? Not really. He is comparing these crowd. It's a metaphor which the poet has used here. The crowd is being compared to the golden daffodils. He came across the golden daffodils out there. A host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake beneath the trees. Now where exactly were these daffodils? These daffodils were beside the lake beneath the trees. We have another poetic device here. Beside and beneath. That's alliteration. Right. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Now, who exactly is dancing? Was the poet dancing? No, it was the daffodils which were moving and swaying because of the wind blowing. And what has the poet done? He's personified the golden daffodils into human beings. He's given them the human quality of dancing and fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So it's a personification here, where the poet is trying to tell that the flowers, these daffodils, they were all dancing. They were so happy that they were dancing. Continuous as the stars that shine. Just like we see this night sky, and then we see how the stars keep shining continuously. Similarly, these daffodils were also there in the garden there, and they were brightly, so bright, and they were shining so brightly. And why do you think they were golden daffodils? Well, actually, daffodils are yellow, and because of the sunlight falling on them, it was shining. The entire garden was shining. So the poet here says that the daffodils were shining. And twinkle on the Milky Way, just this, like the stars that keep twinkling in the Milky Way. Similarly, in this beautiful place of the valleys there, these daffodils are kind of those shining stars, right? And here we have in the first line, again we have an alliteration with stars and shine. And we also have a comparison here with the stars are being compared, or the daffodils are being compared to the stars. That's a simile because we have as here. Okay, coming up to our next line there. They stretched in never ending line. Means wherever he saw, his sight went, he could only see the daffodils to a far off extent. So he says that they stretched in never ending line. According to him, the line of the daffodils was not finishing. He could see at a stretch so many of them. Along the margin of a bay, means it seemed as if it's a huge margin near the bay there. 10,000 saw I at a glance. So do you actually think he could see 10,000 of them at one glance? It's kind of a hyperbole, another poetic device which has been used here. 10,000 I saw at a glance. Hyperbole, something which is exaggerated and spoken. Tossing their heads in sprinkly dance. Now, who is tossing their heads in the sprinkly dance? It's basically the daffodils. So, again, daffodils have been given the quality of human beings. So, it's personification again in this line. The waves beside them dance. Means one side you had the waves and the other side you had the daffodils. Both movement there because of the breeze out there, right? But what was happening? The daffodils dancing seemed to be much, much more beautiful than what actually the waves were presenting. The scene there, the waves were also dancing, the daffodils also dancing, they were moving, and the daffodils looked very, very beautiful. A poet could not but be gay, means nothing better a poet can get by such a beautiful scene right in front of him with so much of beauty and color and things happening there. So that was so beautiful, and that is the best thing a poet can get. Why? Because if a beautiful scene comes in front of a poet, he can put down those feelings, those sight, those scenery in imagery form in the form of words. He can put it down in the form of words there. Okay. In such a jocund company, jocund means merry, happy, everything so joyful there. I gazed and gazed, but little thought. Means the poet continuously kept looking at those flowers, kept looking at those golden daffodils, kept seeing them dancing. He kept thinking about what he had achieved in his life. That was something, even wealth. If you see in the next line, what wealth the show to me had brought. It was a very costly thing for him. A memory for a lifelong time, where he could keep that memory within him for years and years to come. And this was something which he had really cherished. He had always liked it. Coming up to our next thought, what the poet has is, he says, in such, I gazed and gazed, but little thought, what wealth the show to me had brought. For often, when on my couch I lie. For often, when on my couch I lie, means couch is sofa. So when I lie down on my sofa, in vacant or in pensive mood. That means even when I have nothing to do, I'm vacant in mind, And when in pensive mood, pensive means thoughtful, when I'm thinking lots of things, when I'm doing lots of things, even then, in both the cases, in case I am not doing anything, not thinking much about anything, and on the other hand, even when I'm very thoughtful, what happens? Let's see. For often when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye. Now, what is they here? They flash upon that inward eye. They is that those daffodils, and what exactly is the poet talking about? The inward eye. For the inward eye is when you close your eyes and you think about those memories, or you have those thoughts, what is happening, you recall what is going on, the old past memories, those beautiful memories. When you close your eyes, it comes back to your side. It comes, everything comes in front of you as an imagination. So that is that inward eye, that inward thought or memory, that soul that he could remember at that moment when he was sitting on a sofa. So what was that moment? That moment was about those daffodils that he had seen years back. For often when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. Bliss is a blessing, and solitude means loneliness. When you're lonely and you have some beautiful thoughts, you actually don't feel lonely. These thoughts are kind of blessings, because you think you've got the best things happening around you, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. That's a thought when he thinks about the poet, the poet thinks about the scenery which he had seen years back, and he talks about that scenery there. It's then that he comes across this memory again, when he's sitting on his sofa idle and not doing anything, or maybe he's doing something. In spite of that, he gets this beautiful memory around him. Well, that's it. Daffodils was a poem, beautiful words, beautiful scenery, put in the form of words by William Wordsworth. I hope you all enjoyed the poem. Thank you.